I remember the exact moment my heart broke into 1,000 pieces. It wasn't when my husband Raymond died 7 years ago. It wasn't when I lost our house and had to move into a smaller apartment. It was Christmas Day 2024 at exactly 6:47 p.m. when my oldest son Marcus put his hands on me and pushed me away from my own dinner table. But let me back up, because you need to understand how we got here. My name is Lorraine Mitchell, and I'm 62 years old. I raised 3 children mostly by myself after my husband passed from a heart attack when he was only 53. Marcus was 23 then, my daughter Candace was 19, and my baby Isaiah was just 16. Raymond left us with love and memories, but not much money. His life insurance barely covered the funeral. I worked 2 jobs for years. During the day, I was a secretary at a law firm downtown. At night, I cleaned offices in a business complex. On weekends, I did hair in my kitchen for the ladies in my neighborhood. My hands stayed busy, but my heart stayed full because I had my children. That's what I told myself during those long nights when my feet hurt so bad I could barely stand. Marcus was always my pride and joy, my firstborn. He was smart, ambitious, and he made me proud when he graduated from college and got a good job at an accounting firm. He was the first person in our family to get a degree. I still remember his graduation day. I cried so hard my mascara ran down my face and ruined my good blouse. "Mama, you did this," Marcus told me that day, hugging me tight. "Everything I am is because of you." I held on to those words for years. 3 years ago, Marcus met Shanice. She was pretty, well-dressed, and came from a family with money. Her mother, Beverly, owned 2 hair salons and drove a Mercedes. Her father was a retired postal worker with a nice pension. They lived in a big house in the suburbs with a swimming pool. At first, I was happy for Marcus. He deserved a good woman. But something felt off from the beginning. Shanice smiled at me, but her eyes stayed cold. She'd make little comments that seemed nice on the surface but cut deep underneath. "Oh, Miss Lorraine, you still working those 2 jobs? That must be so exhausting at your age." "Marcus told me you rent your apartment? I thought black folks your age would own property by now." "Girl, your hands look so dry. You should try this cream I use. It's expensive, but it works wonders." I ignored it. I told myself I was being sensitive. Marcus loved her, and that's what mattered. They got married 2 years ago. I spent $3,000 I didn't have on Marcus's wedding. That was money from my savings, money I'd been putting away in case of emergencies. But this was my son's special day. I wanted him to have everything perfect. Shanice's family paid for most of the wedding, of course. It was at a fancy hotel with ice sculptures and a live band. But I contributed what I could. I paid for Marcus's tuxedo, the cake, and I made all the party favors by hand. Stayed up for 3 nights straight, hot gluing ribbons and pearls onto little boxes. At the wedding, Beverly barely spoke to me. When she did, it was to point out things that weren't up to her standards. "The cake is a bit plain, don't you think?" "My nephew could have DJ'd for free. Would have been better than this band." I smiled through it all. This was Marcus's day. I wasn't going to cause problems. After the wedding, things changed. Marcus started coming around less. He'd call every few weeks instead of every few days. When he did visit, Shanice was always with him, and she'd spend the whole time on her phone or making comments about my apartment. "It's so small in here. Don't you feel cramped?" "That couch has seen better days, huh? You should really update this kitchen. These cabinets are so old." Marcus never defended me. He'd just laugh awkwardly and change the subject. My daughter Candace noticed it too. "Mama, Marcus is acting funny," she told me one Sunday after church. "He's different since he married that girl." "Don't talk about your brother's wife like that," I said. "He's just adjusting to married life." But deep down, I knew Candace was right. Then came the pregnancy announcement. 6 months ago, Shanice told us she was expecting. I was going to be a grandmother for the first time. I cried happy tears and immediately started planning. I bought yarn to crochet a baby blanket. I started looking at bassinets at the thrift store. "Mama, we don't need used stuff," Marcus said when I showed him a beautiful wooden bassinet I'd found. "Shanice's mother already bought us a new one, top of the line." That hurt, but I didn't show it. I just smiled and said, "That's wonderful, baby." Thanksgiving came and went. Marcus spent it with Shanice's family. He called me at 8 p.m. after dinner was over and talked for 5 minutes before saying he had to go. I spent Thanksgiving with Candace, Isaiah, and my neighbor, Miss Geneva, who was like family. We had a good time, but I missed my oldest son. I kept looking at his empty chair at the table. "He's building his own family now," Miss Geneva told me, patting my hand. "That's what sons do." "I know," I said. "I just wish he'd remember where he came from." Then came Christmas. Let me tell you, I planned this Christmas dinner for 3 weeks. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted Marcus to remember why family matters. I invited everyone, Marcus and Shanice, Candace and her boyfriend Terrell, Isaiah and his girlfriend Jasmine, and even Miss Geneva. I spent my whole paycheck from the law firm on food. I made Marcus's favorite dishes: fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, candied yams, cornbread, and my special peach cobbler. I decorated my little apartment with lights and garland. I bought a small Christmas tree and stayed up late wrapping presents I'd carefully chosen for everyone. Marcus called me 2 days before Christmas. "Hey, Mama, can Shanice's mother come to dinner? Her dad is visiting his sister in Florida, and she'll be alone." My stomach dropped, but I said, "Of course, baby. The more the merrier." I didn't have money to buy Beverly a gift, so I made her a nice scarf. It wasn't much, but it was from the heart. Christmas Day arrived. I woke up at 5 a.m. to start cooking. By 3 p.m., my apartment smelled like heaven. The table was set with my good dishes, the ones I'd saved from my marriage. Everything looked beautiful. Candace and Isaiah arrived first, bringing hugs and warmth. Miss Geneva came with her famous sweet potato pie. We were laughing and talking, enjoying each other's company. Marcus and Shanice arrived at 5:30 p.m., 30 minutes late. Beverly was with them. "Hey, Mama," Marcus said, giving me a quick hug. He looked uncomfortable. "Merry Christmas, Miss Lorraine," Shanice said, not bothering to hug me. She was showing now, her belly round under her expensive maternity dress. Beverly walked in like she owned the place, her eyes scanning my apartment with obvious judgment. "Well, this is cozy," she said, and I knew she didn't mean it as a compliment. We all sat down to eat. I'd placed name cards at each seat, the way Raymond and I used to do for special occasions. I was at the head of the table where I always sat. Marcus was to my right, next to Shanice, but before we could say grace, Beverly spoke up. "Shanice, honey, I don't think I can sit here. This chair is too hard on my back." "Where do you want to sit, Mama?" Shanice asked, her voice sugary sweet. Beverly looked directly at my seat. "That chair at the head looks more comfortable." The room went silent. Everyone knew what she was asking. I spoke carefully. "Beverly, that's actually where I always sit, but I can get you a cushion if—" "Marcus," Shanice interrupted, her voice sharp. "Your mother-in-law needs that seat. Tell your mother to move." I looked at my son, waiting for him to defend me, waiting for him to say something, anything. Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. "Mama, can you just sit somewhere else? It's not a big deal." "Marcus," Candace said, her voice rising. "Are you serious right now?" "Stay out of this, Candace," Shanice snapped. I stood up slowly, my hands shaking. "Baby, this is my house. I cooked this food. I set this table. That's been my seat since your father was alive." "It's just a chair, Lorraine," Beverly said, already moving toward my seat. "Don't be dramatic." "Mama, please," Marcus said, and for the first time I heard something ugly in his voice, something that didn't sound like my son. "Just move. Don't embarrass me in front of my wife's family." "Embarrass you?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Marcus, I raised you better than this. Yeah, well, maybe you should have raised yourself better, Shanice muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Maybe then you wouldn't be living in this cramped apartment at your age. Excuse me? I said, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. Marcus stood up. His face was twisted in a way I'd never seen before. Mama, just move. I didn't move. I couldn't. 23 years of sacrifice, of love, of working until my body ached, flooded through me. This was my table, my home, my Christmas dinner. No, I said firmly. This is my seat. That's when it happened. Marcus walked around the table. He put his hands on my shoulders, and he pushed me. Hard. I stumbled backward, catching myself on the wall. This seat is for my mother-in-law, Marcus said, his voice cold. Get out. The room exploded. Candace jumped up, screaming at Marcus. Isaiah stood up so fast his chair fell over. Miss Geneva's hand went to her chest. Terrell and Jasmine looked horrified, but I just stood there, staring at my son. The son I'd birthed, the son I'd sacrificed everything for, the son who just put his hands on me in anger. Beverly sat down in my chair with a satisfied smile. Shanice smirked. Marcus wouldn't look at me. Get out, Mama, Marcus said quietly. You're ruining Christmas. I grabbed my purse with shaking hands. I didn't cry. Not yet. I walked to my bedroom, grabbed my coat, and left my own apartment. The last thing I heard was Beverly saying, "Finally, we can eat in peace." I spent Christmas night at Miss Geneva's house. She held me while I cried. Candace and Isaiah came over, both of them furious and heartbroken. "Mama, that wasn't okay," Candace said, pacing back and forth. "He put his hands on you. That's not okay." "What are you going to do?" Isaiah asked. I didn't know. I was too hurt to think straight. All I knew was that something inside me had broken that couldn't be fixed with apologies. 3 days later, I went back to my apartment. It was a mess. They'd left dishes everywhere, trash on the floor, food stains on my carpet. But that wasn't what caught my attention. On my coffee table, I found Marcus's briefcase. He must have forgotten it in the chaos. I wasn't trying to snoop, I was just going to call him to pick it up. But the briefcase had popped open, and papers were spilling out. That's when I saw it. The deed to my apartment building. Power of attorney documents with my forged signature. Transfer papers for my small savings account. And a document labeled Care Facility Options for Lorraine Mitchell, age 62. My hands started shaking as I read through the papers. Marcus and Shanice had been planning this for months. They were going to have me declared incompetent, put me in a nursing home, take over my lease and my savings. There were emails printed out, conversations between Marcus, Shanice, and Beverly, talking about how I was getting old and forgetful and how it would be better for everyone if they took control of my finances. There was even a letter from a doctor I'd never met, claiming I showed signs of dementia. But the worst part? The part that made my blood run cold? There was a contract with a real estate investor. They were planning to force me out of my apartment and sell the building to developers. My landlord, Mr. Chen, was elderly and had been thinking about selling. Marcus had already contacted him about buying the building at a discount, using my incompetency as leverage to get me out first. The profit from the sale? $350,000. They were going to take everything, and then lock me away where I couldn't fight back. I sat on my couch, surrounded by evidence of my son's betrayal, and I didn't cry. Something had shifted inside me. The heartbreak was still there, but underneath it was something stronger. Anger. Pure, righteous anger. I picked up my phone and called the only lawyer I knew personally. Jerome Thompson had worked at the law firm where I was a secretary for 15 years. He'd always been kind to me, always respectful. "Mr. Thompson," I said when he answered, "this is Lorraine Mitchell. I need your help. My son is trying to steal everything from me and put me in a nursing home, and I'm going to need you to help me fight back." There was a pause. Then Mr. Thompson said, "Lorraine, tell me everything." I did. I told him about Christmas dinner, about the push, about the papers. I took pictures of every document in Marcus's briefcase and emailed them to him. "Lorraine," Mr. Thompson said when I finished, his voice grave, "this is elder abuse. This is fraud. This is forgery. Your son could go to jail for this." "Good," I said, and I meant it. "What do we do next?" "First, we secure your assets. Then, we gather more evidence. And then," he paused, "then we make sure Marcus and everyone involved in this faces consequences. Are you ready for this fight? Because it's going to get ugly." I thought about my son pushing me. I thought about Shanice's smirk. I thought about Beverly sitting in my chair. I thought about 23 years of sacrifice being repaid with betrayal. "Mr. Thompson," I said, my voice steady, "I've been fighting my whole life. This is just one more battle. And this time, I'm fighting for myself." "Then let's get to work," he said. I hung up the phone and looked at the papers spread across my coffee table. Evidence of a conspiracy to rob me, lock me away, and profit from my suffering. Marcus had made a mistake leaving that briefcase, and he was about to find out exactly what happened when you pushed Lorraine Mitchell too far. Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from so we know how far our stories reach, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. The next morning, I woke up at Miss Geneva's house with a clear head and a mission. Mr. Thompson had given me specific instructions. Don't confront Marcus yet. Don't let him know I found the papers. Act normal while we built our case. "That's going to be the hardest part," I told Miss Geneva over coffee. "Acting like nothing's wrong when I want to scream at him." "Baby, you've been strong your whole life," Miss Geneva said, squeezing my hand. "You can do this. And you're not alone. I'm here. Candace and Isaiah are here. We got you." I went to see Mr. Thompson at his office that afternoon. His secretary smiled at me warmly. I'd known her for years, too. The law firm felt like coming home, which was funny because I was there to prepare for war. Mr. Thompson's office was neat and organized, law books lining the walls. He gestured for me to sit down and pulled out a folder that was already thick with papers. "Lorraine, I've been reviewing everything you sent me," he said, his dark eyes serious behind his glasses. "This is worse than I thought. They didn't just plan to take your assets, they created an entire false narrative about your mental state." He showed me more documents he'd found through his research. Marcus had been talking to my doctor, Dr. Patterson, asking questions about my health, twisting innocent conversations into evidence of decline. "Last year you called the office to reschedule an appointment because you'd written down the wrong date, correct?" Mr. Thompson asked. "Yes, I mixed up Tuesday and Thursday," I said. "It was a simple mistake. Marcus documented that as increasing confusion and memory problems. He's been building a case against you for over a year, Lorraine." My stomach turned. A year. While I was buying yarn to make his baby a blanket, he was plotting to lock me away. "There's more," Mr. Thompson said gently. "I pulled the property records. Marcus approached Mr. Chen 6 months ago about buying your building. He told Mr. Chen that you were becoming difficult, and that he was concerned about your ability to live independently. He offered to buy the building for $200,000 under market value, claiming he'd handle relocating you personally." "Mr. Chen didn't sell to him?" I asked. "No, Mr. Chen is a good man. He told Marcus that you'd been a model tenant for 8 years, and that he wouldn't sell without talking to you first. That's when Marcus shifted strategies. He started working on the incompetency angle. If he could get you declared unable to manage your own affairs, he could move forward without Mr. Chen's cooperation." I felt sick. "What about the forged signatures?" "We'll need a handwriting expert, but from what I can see, these are clear forgeries. The power of attorney document alone is enough for criminal charges. Add in the conspiracy to commit fraud, elder abuse, and attempted theft. Lorraine, your son is looking at serious prison time if we pursue this fully." Prison? My son. The words didn't fit together in my mind. Mr. Thompson must have seen something in my face because he leaned forward. "Lorraine, I need you to understand something. I know Marcus is your son. I know you love him. But what he's doing is evil. It's cruel. And if we don't stop him now, he will succeed. You'll lose everything, and you'll end up in a facility, wondering what happened to your life." "I know," I whispered. I keep thinking about the little boy who used to bring me flowers from the neighbor's yard. The teenager who worked 3 jobs to help pay for his own college books because he didn't want to burden me. Where did that Marcus go? "Sometimes people change when money gets involved," Mr. Thompson said sadly. "Especially when they marry into families that value wealth over character. Shanice and Beverly, they influenced him. But at the end of the day, Marcus made his choices. He chose to push you. He chose to forge your signature. He chose to betray you." I nodded, wiping my eyes. "What do we do next?" "First, we protect your assets immediately. I'm filing an emergency protective order today. Second, we gather more evidence. I want recordings. I want witnesses. I want everything documented. Third, we wait for Marcus to make his next move, and he will make a move, Lorraine. Men like him always do." Mr. Thompson was right. Marcus called me the next day. "Hey, Mama," he said, his voice casual like nothing had happened. "I left my briefcase at your place. Can I come pick it up?" My heart pounded. I looked at the briefcase sitting on my kitchen counter, full of evidence that would destroy him. "Oh, yes, baby, I found it," I said, keeping my voice light. "When do you want to come by?" "How about today around 6? Shanice wants to come too. She wants to talk." I bet she does, I thought. "That's fine. I'll have it ready for you." "Thanks, Mama. And listen," he paused, "about Christmas. I think we all just need to move past it, you know? Family stuff gets heated sometimes." Move past it. Like he hadn't physically pushed me out of my own home. Like his wife hadn't disrespected me. Like he hadn't been plotting to rob me for a year. "Of course, baby," I lied. "Family is family." "That's my mama," Marcus said, relief in his voice. "See you at 6. I immediately called Mr. Thompson. "Perfect," he said. "Don't give him the briefcase yet. Tell him you can't find it, that you're still looking. I want to keep that evidence away from him while we make copies of everything. And Lorraine, I want you to record the conversation tonight. Use your phone. We need documentation of anything he says." "Is that legal?" I asked. "In this state, yes. One-party consent. As long as you're part of the conversation, you can record it." At 5:45 p.m., I set my phone to record and placed it in my pocket. My hands were sweating. Candace had wanted to be there, but I told her no. This needed to be just me, Marcus, and Shanice. They arrived at 6:15, late as usual. Marcus looked nervous. Shanice looked annoyed. "Hey, Mama," Marcus said, giving me a quick hug that felt empty. "You look good." "Thank you, baby. Come in, sit down." They sat on my couch, the same couch Shanice had insulted a dozen times. I offered them sweet tea, playing the role of the forgiving mother. "So, about my briefcase," Marcus said. "Oh, I'm so sorry, I can't seem to find it," I lied smoothly. "I've looked everywhere. Are you sure you left it here?" Marcus's face tightened. "Yes, Mama, I'm sure. It was on the coffee table." "Well, maybe Miss Geneva moved it when she helped me clean up the mess y'all left," I said, letting a little edge into my voice. "The mess we left?" Shanice said. "Maybe if you'd been a better hostess, Christmas wouldn't have gone so badly." I took a deep breath. "Shanice, you and your mother came into my home and disrespected me. Marcus put his hands on me, and y'all left my apartment looking like a tornado hit it." "Oh, please," Shanice rolled her eyes. "Marcus barely touched you. You're being dramatic." "He pushed me," I said firmly. "In my own home, on Christmas." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Mama, like I said, let's just move past it. We're family. Are we? I asked. Because family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. Here we go, Shanice muttered. The guilt trip. Marcus, this is exactly why we need to move forward with our plans. The room went cold. Marcus's eyes widened. Shanice, shut up. But Shanice was on a roll. No, Marcus. She needs to hear this. Miss Lorraine, you're getting older. You're clearly struggling. Living in this tiny apartment, working yourself to death at your age. It's not healthy. We're worried about you. Worried about me? I said slowly. Yes, Marcus jumped in, recovering. We've been talking, and we think it might be time for you to consider other living arrangements, somewhere with support. People your age need help, Mama. I'm 62, not 92, I said, and I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself. Are you, though? Shanice asked, her voice dripping with false concern. Marcus told me you forgot your doctor's appointment last year. You mixed up the days. That's a sign of cognitive decline. It was one mistake, I said. And what about money? Marcus said. Mama, you're barely making it. Let us help you. We can take over your finances, make sure your bills get paid. We can even help you find a nice facility, somewhere comfortable. A facility, I repeated. It's not a bad thing, Mama. Lots of people your age live in assisted living. You'd have friends, activities, people to look after you. And what happens to my apartment? I asked. Marcus and Shanice exchanged a look. Well, you wouldn't need it anymore, Marcus said. We could probably sublease it or something. Lies. All lies. They were going to force me out and sell the building for $350,000. I see, I said calmly. And did y'all already pick out this facility? We've looked at a few options, Shanice admitted. There's a really nice one about an hour away. Very affordable. An hour away. Far enough that I couldn't easily get back to the city. Far enough that Candace and Isaiah couldn't visit regularly. Far enough to isolate me completely. That's real thoughtful of you both, I said, my voice sugar-sweet. But I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. Marcus's face hardened. Mama, you're not thinking clearly. This is for your own good. My own good? Or your wallet's good. What's that supposed to mean? Shanice snapped. It means I know you've been planning this, I said, dropping the act. I know you've been talking to my doctor behind my back. I know you approached Mr. Chen about buying this building. I know about all of it. The color drained from Marcus's face. Mama, I don't know what you think you know, but don't lie to me. I stood up, my voice rising. I raised you better than this, Marcus. Your father and I struggled and sacrificed so you could have opportunities. We loved you. I loved you. And this is how you repay me? By trying to steal from me? By trying to lock me away so you can profit off my life? You're being paranoid, Shanice said, standing up. Marcus, I told you she was losing it. This just proves we need to act fast. Act fast on what? I challenged. On your plan to forge power of attorney documents? On your plan to have me declared incompetent? On your plan to put me in a nursing home while you sell my building for hundreds of thousands of dollars? Marcus looked like he might be sick. How do you... Where's my briefcase, Mama? Somewhere safe, I said. Somewhere you can't destroy the evidence. Evidence? Marcus laughed nervously. Mama, there's no evidence of anything because we're not doing anything wrong. We're trying to help you. By forging my signature? That's helpful? Shanice grabbed Marcus's arm. We need to leave. Now. She's crazy. I'm not crazy, I said, my voice deadly calm. But I am done. Done being disrespected. Done being lied to. Done being betrayed by my own son. Mama, please, Marcus said, and for a second, I saw fear in his eyes. Can we just talk about this? Oh, we'll talk, I said. In front of a judge. A judge? Shanice's voice went shrill. Are you threatening us? No, Shanice. I'm promising you. You and Marcus and your mother tried to destroy me. You pushed me out of my own home on Christmas. You plotted to steal everything I have. You wanted to lock me away like I was nothing. Like 23 years of raising Marcus meant nothing. Like my life meant nothing. Tears were running down my face now, but my voice stayed strong. But you made a mistake. You left evidence. And now I have a lawyer, I have documentation, and I have witnesses. So you can walk out that door right now, but this isn't over. Not by a long shot. Marcus's face twisted with anger. You're really going to do this? Take your own son to court? You pushed your own mother, I shot back. You forged your mother's signature. You tried to steal from your mother. So yes, Marcus, I'm really going to do this. You'll regret this, Shanice hissed. When we're done, you won't have anything. No family, no money, nothing. I already have nothing thanks to you, I said. Now get out of my apartment. They left, slamming the door so hard my pictures rattled on the wall. I stood there shaking, my phone still recording in my pocket. Then I sat down and called Mr. Thompson. I got it all, I said. Every word. Perfect, Mr. Thompson said. Lorraine, you did good. Now comes the hard part. Are you ready? I'm ready, I said. But I wasn't ready for what happened next. 2 days later, I was at work at the law firm when I got a call from Dr. Patterson's office. They needed to see me immediately. It was urgent. I left work early and drove to the medical building, my stomach in knots. When I got to Dr. Patterson's office, his nurse looked at me with pity. Miss Lorraine, the doctor needs to speak with you about some concerns that have been raised. Dr. Patterson was a kind black man in his 50s who'd been my doctor for 10 years. But when I walked into his office, his face was grave. Lorraine, I've received some troubling information from your son Marcus, he said. He came to see me yesterday with his wife. They're very concerned about your mental state. They say you've been paranoid, accusing them of trying to steal from you, making wild claims about conspiracies. Marcus mentioned you've been forgetting things, acting erratically. My blood ran cold. Dr. Patterson, I can explain. They're requesting a competency evaluation, he continued. They've provided documentation of concerning behaviors. Lorraine, I need to ask you some questions. For the next 30 minutes, Dr. Patterson asked me questions designed to assess my mental state. What day is it? Who's the president? Can you count backward from 100 by sevens? I answered everything correctly, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. Marcus had gotten to him first, poisoned the well. Dr. Patterson, I said when he finished, my son is lying to you. He and his wife are trying to have me declared incompetent so they can take control of my finances and property. I have evidence of forgery, fraud, and a conspiracy to commit elder abuse. I've hired a lawyer. This is not paranoia. This is real. Dr. Patterson looked uncomfortable. Lorraine, these are serious accusations against your own son. I know, and they're true. I need you to document this conversation. I need you to know that I came here, that I answered all your questions correctly, and that I explicitly told you I'm being targeted by my son for financial exploitation. Something shifted in Dr. Patterson's expression. Lorraine, you've been my patient for a decade. I've never seen any signs of cognitive decline. But I have to follow protocol. If a family member raises concerns, I have to document them. I understand, I said. But please also document that I deny these accusations, that I performed well on all cognitive tests, and that I have legal representation. Can you do that? He nodded slowly. Yes, I can do that. And Lorraine, off the record, be careful. If Marcus is really doing what you say he's doing, he's not going to stop. He was right. That night I got a call from Mr. Chen, my landlord. Miss Lorraine, his accented voice was worried. I need to tell you something. Marcus came to see me again today. He brought papers, said he has power of attorney over you, said I need to work with him now on all matters concerning your lease. I told him I need to verify with you first, but he got very angry, said if I don't cooperate, he'll sue me. Mr. Chen, Marcus does not have power of attorney over me, I said firmly. Those papers are forged. I'm working with a lawyer right now. Please don't sign anything or agree to anything with Marcus. I won't, Mr. Chen promised. But Miss Lorraine, I have to be honest. I'm getting old. I was thinking about selling this building anyway. Marcus's offer is looking more attractive, even if it's below market value. I just want to retire in peace. My heart sank. Mr. Chen, please. This building is my home. Can you just give me a little time? I'm fighting this. I promise you, I'll figure something out. There was a long pause. You've been a good tenant. I'll wait 1 month. But Miss Lorraine, if Marcus keeps pressuring me, I might have to sell. I'm sorry. 1 month. I had 1 month to save my home. I called Mr. Thompson immediately and told him everything. Lorraine, we need to accelerate our timeline, he said. I'm filing a restraining order tomorrow against Marcus and Shanice. I'm also filing a civil suit for fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. And I'm contacting the district attorney's office about criminal charges. Will that be enough to stop them? I asked. I don't know, Mr. Thompson said honestly. But we're going to fight with everything we have. The next week was a blur. Mr. Thompson filed all the paperwork. Marcus received the restraining order and called me 20 times, leaving increasingly angry voicemails. You're destroying this family, Mama. I'm your son. How could you do this to me? When the baby comes, don't expect to meet your grandchild. You don't deserve to be a grandmother. You're going to regret this. I promise you, you're going to regret this. Candace and Isaiah rallied around me. Candace took time off work to stay with me. Isaiah started asking questions, investigating on his own. Mama, I talked to some of Marcus's friends from college, Isaiah told me one night. They say he's been bragging about his plans for months. Said he was going to inherit early and that you'd be taken care of in a facility. Some of them thought he was joking, but others, they say he was serious. The betrayal cut deeper every day. Then, 3 weeks after Christmas, I got a letter in the mail. Official looking. From a law firm I didn't recognize. Inside was a petition. Marcus and Shanice were suing me for grandparents' rights, claiming I was mentally unstable and a danger to their unborn child. They were also countersuing me for defamation, claiming I'd damaged Marcus's reputation with false accusations. They were seeking $200,000 in damages. I sat on my couch, holding the papers, and I finally broke down completely. Miss Geneva held me while I sobbed. They want to take everything, I cried. Everything. And then they want to keep me from my own grandchild. Baby, they're not going to win, Miss Geneva said fiercely. You hear me? They're not going to win. We're going to fight. And we're going to win. But I wasn't sure anymore. Marcus had money now, thanks to Shanice's family. He had connections. He had people willing to lie for him. What did I have? A secretary's salary, a overworked lawyer who was helping me out of kindness, and a family torn apart. That Sunday, I went to church for the first time since Christmas. I sat in the back, not wanting to see anyone. But after service, Pastor Williams found me. Sister Lorraine, he said gently, I heard about what's happening with Marcus. The whole church has been praying for you. I started crying again. Pastor, I don't know what to do. I'm losing my son, my home, everything. Pastor Williams sat beside me. Lorraine, let me tell you something. Sometimes God allows us to go through the fire not to burn us, but to refine us. What Marcus is doing is wrong. It's evil, but God sees you, and God is going to make a way. I want to believe that, I whispered. Then believe it, he said, and let your church family help you. We take care of our own. That week, something miraculous started happening. People from church started calling me. Sister Dorothy, who worked at the courthouse, offered to help me understand the legal process. Brother James, who owned a small business, offered to testify about Marcus's character, having seen him around the neighborhood. Sister Patricia, who was a retired social worker, offered to write a statement about my mental capacity. My church family was rallying around me, but the biggest surprise came from someone I didn't expect. Beverly. Shanice's mother called me on a Thursday evening. "Lorraine, this is Beverly. We need to talk." "I have nothing to say to you," I said coldly. "Just listen," she said, and her voice sounded different, tired. "I need to tell you something about Shanice. Something you need to know." "What?" I asked suspiciously. "Can we meet? Tomorrow? There's a coffee shop on 3rd Street. I'll buy you coffee and I'll explain everything." Every instinct told me not to trust her, but curiosity won out. "Fine," I said. "Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I had no idea that meeting would change everything. But as I hung up the phone, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I wanted to see Beverly come in, to have the advantage of being settled first. Mr. Thompson had advised me to record this conversation too, so my phone was ready in my purse. Beverly walked in at exactly 10 a.m., wearing an expensive pantsuit, but looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. She sat down across from me without ordering anything. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. "You said you had something to tell me about Shanice," I said, not bothering with pleasantries. "So talk." Beverly took a deep breath. "Lorraine, I need to start by saying I'm sorry. For Christmas. For everything. I was wrong." I crossed my arms. "Go on." "Shanice is my daughter, and I love her. But she's not. She's not a good person, and I've enabled her for too long." Beverly's hands were shaking. "When she was growing up, I spoiled her, gave her everything. Her father and I, we came from nothing, and we wanted her to have better. But somewhere along the way, she learned that she could manipulate people to get what she wanted." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because she's doing it to Marcus, and she's doing it to me, and I can't watch it anymore." Beverly pulled out her phone. 2 nights ago, I overheard a conversation between Shanice and some man named Derek. I recorded it. She pressed play, and I heard Shanice's voice, clear as day. "Derek, baby, I told you to be patient. Once we get rid of the old lady and Marcus's name is on that building deed, we can move forward with our plans. Marcus is so stupid, he doesn't even realize I'm playing him. When the baby comes, I'll divorce him, take half of everything, and you and I can finally be together." A man's voice responded, laughing. "And he really thinks the baby is his?" "Of course he does," Shanice said. "Men are so easy to manipulate. Marcus was just a means to an end. His mother's building is worth way more than he realizes. Once we flip it to those developers, we're talking about at least $500,000 after expenses. Then I'm done with him." "What about his mother?" "Who cares? She'll be locked away in some facility, probably dead in a few years anyway. Old people don't last long in those places." The recording ended. I sat there, stunned. "The baby might not even be Marcus's?" I whispered. Beverly shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I don't think so. I've suspected for months that Shanice was seeing someone else, but I didn't want to believe it. When I heard that recording, I knew I had to tell you. Whatever Shanice has done, whatever I've done, you don't deserve this. And neither does Marcus, even though he's been awful to you." "Why did you wait until now?" I asked. "Because I was scared," Beverly admitted. "Scared of losing my daughter. Scared of admitting I raised someone capable of this. But Lorraine, I can't sleep at night. What we did to you at Christmas, what Shanice is planning, it's evil. Pure evil." I sat back, my mind racing. This changed everything. "I need that recording," I said. "I'll send it to you right now," Beverly said, pulling out her phone. "And I'll testify. In court, wherever you need me. I'll tell them everything I know about Shanice's plans, about how she manipulated Marcus, about all of it." "Why would you testify against your own daughter?" Beverly's voice broke. "Because it's the right thing to do. And because maybe, just maybe, if Shanice faces consequences for once in her life, she'll change. I failed her as a mother by never teaching her accountability. I won't fail anyone else." I received the audio file on my phone and immediately forwarded it to Mr. Thompson. "There's something else," Beverly said. "Marcus came to see me yesterday. He's planning to have you served with an emergency psychiatric evaluation order. He found a doctor who's willing to sign off on it, claiming you're a danger to yourself. Once that order goes through, they can take you into custody for a 72-hour evaluation. During that time, Shanice plans to move forward with taking over your apartment." My blood ran cold. "When?" "Monday, day after tomorrow." I stood up. "I have to go. Thank you, Beverly, for telling me the truth." "Lorraine," she called as I headed for the door. "I really am sorry about all of it." I didn't respond. I was already calling Mr. Thompson. "We need to move now," I told him. "They're trying to have me involuntarily committed on Monday." "Meet me at my office in 1 hour," Mr. Thompson said. "We're filing an emergency motion today." That afternoon, Mr. Thompson worked faster than I'd ever seen anyone work. He filed emergency motions to block any psychiatric evaluation, filed for an expedited hearing on the fraud charges, and submitted Beverly's recording as evidence. "This recording is gold," Mr. Thompson said, listening to it for the third time. "This proves conspiracy, fraud, and that Marcus is being manipulated. But more importantly, it proves Shanice's intent to harm you." "What about the baby?" I asked quietly. "If it's not Marcus's—" "We'll need a paternity test, but we can't force that until after the baby is born. However, we can use Shanice's own words about the baby's paternity as evidence of fraud." The judge granted us an emergency hearing for Saturday morning, 2 days away. I spent Friday preparing with Mr. Thompson. We went over every document, every recording, every piece of evidence. Candace and Isaiah came to the office to give their statements about Christmas dinner. Miss Geneva testified about my mental state and character. Sister Patricia wrote a detailed letter about my cognitive abilities. Pastor Williams called Friday evening. "Sister Lorraine, the church is coming to court tomorrow. All of us. You're not facing this alone." I cried. After everything, after all the betrayal, I wasn't alone. Saturday morning arrived cold and gray. I wore my best dress, the navy one I'd worn to Marcus's graduation. I wanted to look dignified, strong. When I walked into the courthouse, I couldn't believe what I saw. The hallway was filled with people from my church. At least 40 people had shown up to support me. They hugged me, prayed with me, told me they loved me. Then I saw Marcus and Shanice arrive with their lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit. Marcus looked angry. Shanice looked confident, her hand resting on her pregnant belly. They saw the crowd supporting me, and something flickered across Marcus's face. Fear. Beverly arrived last, walking past Shanice without looking at her. "Mama!" Shanice called out. "What are you doing here?" "What I should have done a long time ago," Beverly said quietly. "The right thing." We filed into the courtroom. Judge Anderson, a stern black woman in her 60s, took the bench. "We're here for an emergency hearing in the matter of Mitchell versus Mitchell," she said. "This is highly unusual, but given the allegations of elder abuse and fraud, I'm willing to hear arguments. Mr. Thompson, you may proceed." Mr. Thompson stood. "Your Honor, my client, Lorraine Mitchell, is a 62-year-old woman who has been targeted by her own son, Marcus Mitchell, and his wife, Shanice Mitchell, in an elaborate scheme to defraud her of her assets and have her involuntarily committed to a care facility. We have extensive evidence of forgery, fraud, conspiracy, and elder abuse. For the next hour, Mr. Thompson presented everything: the forged power of attorney documents, the recordings from my apartment, the plans to buy my building, the fake medical reports, Beverly's recording of Shanice. When Beverly's recording played in the courtroom, Marcus's face went white. He turned to stare at Shanice, who suddenly looked like a trapped animal. That's taken out of context," Shanice stammered. "Please be quiet unless asked to speak," Judge Anderson said sharply. Marcus's lawyer tried to object, tried to dismiss the evidence, but Judge Anderson shut him down. "Counselor, I've heard enough objections. Let's hear what your clients have to say. Mr. Mitchell, stand up." Marcus stood slowly, looking like he might be sick. "Did you or did you not forge your mother's signature on power of attorney documents?" Judge Anderson asked. Your Honor, I was trying to help her. She's not capable of—" "Answer the question yes or no." Marcus's shoulders slumped. "Yes." "But I was doing it for her own good." "Her own good," Judge Anderson repeated, her voice dripping with disdain. "Did you push your mother on Christmas Day?" "It was barely a push. She was being difficult. Yes or no, Mr. Mitchell?" "Yes." "Did you plan to sell your mother's building for profit while placing her in a care facility against her will?" Marcus looked at his lawyer, who shook his head. "Yes," Marcus finally said. Judge Anderson turned to Shanice. "Mrs. Mitchell, stand up. Is the baby you're carrying your husband's child?" Shanice's eyes widened. "Your Honor, that's not relevant. Answer the question, or I'll hold you in contempt." I don't know," Shanice whispered. The courtroom erupted. Marcus turned to Shanice, betrayal and shock on his face. "You don't know?" he said, his voice breaking. "Shanice, what does that mean?" "Order!" Judge Anderson banged her gavel. "Everyone sit down and be quiet." When the room settled, Judge Anderson looked at me. "Mrs. Mitchell, would you like to address the court?" I stood up, my legs shaking. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him. "Your Honor, 23 years ago, I held my son in my arms and promised him I would give him everything I had. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, to make sure he had opportunities. I went without so he could have. I sacrificed my health, my savings, my comfort, all for him. When his father died, I held this family together by myself." My voice grew stronger. "And on Christmas Day, Marcus repaid all of that by putting his hands on me, by pushing me in my own home, by trying to steal everything I'd worked for, by plotting to lock me away like I was garbage." I turned to look directly at Marcus. "You were my pride and joy, my firstborn, and you betrayed me in the worst way possible, not just for money, but because you let someone else poison you against your own mother." Tears were streaming down my face now, but I kept going. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you, Marcus. I don't know if we can ever be family again. But I do know this. I deserve better. I deserve respect. I deserve to live my life in peace, in my own home, with my dignity intact. And I'm not going to let you or anyone else take that from me." The courtroom was silent except for my crying and the crying of people in the audience. Judge Anderson nodded slowly. "Mrs. Mitchell, please be seated." She turned to Marcus and Shanice. "I've been a judge for 23 years, and I've seen a lot of terrible things, but what you two have done is particularly despicable. You targeted a vulnerable woman, your own mother, Mr. Mitchell, and you conspired to rob her, imprison her, and profit from her suffering." She pulled out papers. "I'm issuing a permanent restraining order. Mr. and Mrs. Marcus Mitchell are not to come within 500 feet of Lorraine Mitchell. I'm referring this case to the District Attorney for criminal prosecution on charges of fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. I'm also ordering an immediate paternity test once the baby is born." "Your Honor, please," Marcus said, standing up. "I made mistakes, but she's still my mother. The baby will be protected by the court if necessary," Judge Anderson interrupted. "You should have thought about your child before you decided to commit crimes against your mother. And Mrs. Shanice Mitchell, I'm ordering you to cease all contact with Mr. Derek Williams, the man in your recording, pending investigation of fraud and conspiracy charges." Shanice started crying, but they were angry tears, not remorseful ones. Judge Anderson looked at Beverly. "Mrs. Wilson, I want to commend you for coming forward. That took courage." "Thank you, Your Honor," Beverly said quietly. "As for you, Mrs. Lorraine Mitchell," Judge Anderson said, her voice softening, "I'm dismissing all petitions filed against you. You are clearly of sound mind and body. I'm also ordering Mr. Marcus Mitchell to pay your legal fees and compensatory damages in the amount of $50,000 for emotional distress." I gasped. $50,000. "Furthermore," Judge Anderson continued, "I'm issuing a protective order on your assets. No one can touch your property, your savings, or your apartment without your explicit written consent, verified by an independent attorney. And if I hear that anyone has attempted to interfere with your living situation, I will hold them in contempt and they will see the inside of a jail cell. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, Your Honor," multiple people said at once. "This court is adjourned." The gavel came down, and it felt like the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders. My church family surrounded me, hugging me, crying with me, celebrating. Miss Geneva held my face in her hands. "You did it, baby," she said. "You stood up for yourself, and you won." I looked across the courtroom. Marcus stood alone, his face buried in his hands. Shanice was yelling at her lawyer, demanding he fix this. Beverly walked over to Marcus and tried to touch his shoulder, but he pulled away. For a moment, I felt sorry for Marcus. He looked broken, lost. But then I remembered Christmas dinner. I remembered the push. I remembered the forged signatures and the plans to steal my life. And I walked out of that courtroom with my head held high. 2 weeks later, Mr. Chen called me with incredible news. "Miss Lorraine, I've decided not to sell the building. My son talked to me, helped me see that I was making a rushed decision. But more than that, after everything you've been through, I want you to know you always have a home here. I'm lowering your rent too. You've been a good tenant for 8 years. You deserve to live in peace." I cried happy tears for the first time in months. The $50,000 from the settlement allowed me to quit my night job. I still worked at the law firm, but now I had time to breathe, time to heal, time to live. Marcus tried to contact me twice through intermediaries. I refused both times. Mr. Thompson advised me that reconciliation might come later, but for now, I needed space to heal. Candace and Isaiah visited every week. We had dinners at my apartment, laughing and talking like we used to. Isaiah even started bringing his guitar, and we'd sing old gospel songs late into the night. The baby was born in April, a little girl. The paternity test confirmed she wasn't Marcus's child. The divorce was swift and brutal. Marcus lost almost everything. Beverly called to tell me the news. "Shanice is with Derek now. Marcus is living in a small apartment, working overtime to pay his legal fees. He asks about you sometimes." "What do you tell him?" I asked. "I tell him that his mother is strong, that she's doing well, and that maybe one day, if he's truly sorry, you might find it in your heart to talk to him. But not today." "Thank you, Beverly," I said. In June, I started volunteering at a legal aid clinic, helping other elderly people who were facing abuse and exploitation. Mr. Thompson connected me with organizations that needed someone who understood both the legal system and the emotional trauma of family betrayal. I found my purpose. Every person I helped felt like another piece of my healing. One Sunday after church, Pastor Williams asked me to share my testimony. I stood in front of the congregation and told them everything about the betrayal, the fight, the victory. God didn't save me from the fire, I said. He walked through it with me, and He used that fire to make me stronger, to show me who I really am. I'm not just Marcus's mother anymore. I'm not just someone's employee or someone's neighbor. I'm Lorraine Mitchell. I'm a warrior. I'm a survivor. And I'm free. The church erupted in applause and amens. That night, sitting in my apartment with Miss Geneva, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. True, deep peace. You know what the crazy thing is? I told Miss Geneva. I thought losing Marcus would destroy me. I thought I couldn't survive without my son's love. But I learned something. I learned that I'm enough. Just me. I learned that I don't need someone else to validate my worth. I learned that sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most will hurt you the worst, but that doesn't mean you stop loving yourself. That's growth, baby, Miss Geneva said, squeezing my hand. That's real growth. A year passed. I turned 63, surrounded by people who truly loved me. Candace threw me a surprise party at the church. Over 100 people came. They brought food, gifts, and more love than I'd ever felt. No card from Marcus, no call. And for the first time, that was okay. I'd spent so many years defining myself through my children, through my sacrifices, through what I could give others. Now I was learning to define myself through my own strength, my own resilience, my own worth. Some nights, I still thought about Marcus. I wondered if he'd learned anything. I wondered if he was okay. I wondered if the little boy who used to bring me flowers was still in there somewhere. But those thoughts didn't consume me anymore. They were just passing clouds in an otherwise clear sky. One day, maybe years from now, Marcus might knock on my door with genuine remorse and true change in his heart. And maybe, if I'm ready, I'll open that door. But today I'm living for myself. I'm healing. I'm thriving. I'm free. And that's enough. I started a support group at my church for elderly people dealing with family exploitation. Every Tuesday night, we meet in the church basement. We share our stories, we cry together, we laugh together, and we remind each other that we're not alone. Last week, a woman named Dorothy came to the group. She was 71, and her daughter had been stealing her Social Security checks for 3 years. "I don't know what to do," Dorothy cried. "She's all I have." I held her hand and looked her in the eyes. "Baby, let me tell you something. You have you, and you are enough. Your daughter might be your blood, but she's not treating you right. And you deserve better." "But I love her," Dorothy whispered. "I know," I said. "I loved my son too. Still do in a way. But love doesn't mean letting people destroy you. Love doesn't mean being a doormat. Real love respects boundaries. Real love honors dignity. And if your daughter can't love you the right way, then you need to love yourself enough to walk away." Dorothy joined our group. With help from Mr. Thompson's legal aid clinic, we got her daughter investigated. Dorothy got her money back and moved into a senior apartment where she's safe and happy. That's what I do now. I help people find their strength. I help them understand they're not crazy, they're not being dramatic, and they're not alone. Every person I help feels like I'm honoring the woman I became through my own fire. 2 years after that courtroom day, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Marcus. My hands shook as I opened it. "Dear Mama, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to read this. But I need to say it anyway. I was wrong. About everything. I let Shanice manipulate me. I let greed poison my heart. I forgot who raised me. I forgot your sacrifices. I forgot your love. When I pushed you that Christmas, I became someone I don't recognize, someone Dad would be ashamed of, someone I'm ashamed of. I've been in therapy for a year now, working through my issues, my mistakes, my guilt. The therapist says I might have a personality disorder, made worse by Shanice's manipulation. That's not an excuse. It's just an explanation. I lost everything, Mama. My wife, my home, my reputation, my family, and I deserve to lose it all. But the thing I miss most is you. Your laugh, your wisdom, your strength. I'm not asking for reconciliation. I know I don't deserve it. I'm just asking for you to know that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. I hope you're happy. I hope you're at peace. I hope you're living the life you always deserved. I love you, Mama. I always have. I just forgot how to show it. Your son, Marcus. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. Maybe one day I'd respond. Maybe one day we'd sit down and talk, really talk, about everything that happened. Maybe one day I'd be able to hear his voice without feeling pain. But not today. Today I had a support group to run. I had ladies from church coming over for dinner. I had a life that was full and rich and mine. Marcus's letter was his journey, his healing, his attempt at redemption. My journey was already complete. I'd walked through fire and come out refined. I'd faced betrayal and found my strength. I'd lost a son, but found myself, and myself was pretty damn magnificent. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Silver hair pulled back in an elegant bun. Face lined with years of struggle and survival. Eyes clear and strong. You did good, Lorraine, I told my reflection. You did real good. And I meant it. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.